You may remember this famous photo of Donald Trump before he was a candidate for office holding 3 kilo-sized gold bars as an exchange for rent from Trump Tower. Well, we're taking gold to the White House, and it's making history right now. Let's talk about it as we explore. It's fun to think about gold making a comeback, especially with regards to how Trump has relegated his presidency to the golden age of America. And he's putting his money where his mouth is in more ways than one, and that's taking us all the way to the White House. Before we get into that, I want to remind you of channel sponsor Summit Metals, where you can spin to win. Yes, indeed. And also, they have a great selection of all different types of precious metal products, gold, silver, and platinum. It's been an amazing run to see Summit Metals grow as a company. So elevate your wealth with Summit Metals. Now, Trump is known for being flashy. He's known for saying things that are off the cuff, but he's also known for gold. It's at Mar-a-Lago everywhere, and now it's coming to the White House, more specifically the Oval Office. Now, it may seem kind of gaudy. In fact, I'm going to be referencing a piece here from the Daily Beast, which is not known as being friendly to the president and the administration, but nonetheless, this is kind of an interesting take as to what's going on there, but they're missing one part of this, and I'm going to be discussing here as well, too. But let's see what they have to say, because they're now making comparisons to Saddam Hussein's palaces, which were known for being grandeur and full of gold and other things. Nonetheless, President Donald Trump's desire to turn the Oval Office into a look-alike of the Palace of Versailles, Mar-a-Lago, Saddam's palace, or all three, is showing no signs of slowing down. Photos taken over the past month show that Trump, who is now 79 years old, has found even more places to add gaudy accents, including gold-plated moldings and designs on the room's doors, bookcases, and above its fireplace, as you can see from this image here. Sometimes we can get a little closer look. We can see the objects here. If you zoom in, and behind him, it's really ornate. And some of it admittedly does look a little bit gaudy, but hey, it is Trump, and he's known for this type of thing. He's put his own personal touches on the Oval Office, and so that's intriguing. Now, since January, the historic space has been slowly filled with gold medallions, frames, mirrors, cherubs, eagles, coasters, and moldings, some courtesy of Trump's personal, quote, gold guy, who was flown to Washington on Air Force One. Trump, of course, is expecting to take delivery of a Qatari Boeing 747, which is distinctly golden already. But it's not just the gold guy who has been active. New images show that gold is now incorporated in almost nearly every feature inside of the Oval Office. Let's take a closer look at this picture, shall we? And we can see here, before early in the administration, which is now 200 days old plus, we can see Howard Lutnick there with the president, and we can see the portraits that he's had put in there, including Ronald Reagan, and some gold accents. But look here. And we can see gold accents, which actually looks kind of cool right here. I think this was actually a good move to make that change there. And you can see behind these flags, the tassels here have been moved out here to show with his recent meeting with Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. You can see these accents here placed, which admittedly look a little gaudy. Let's continue. Now, critics have slammed the dramatic makeover as old-fashioned and un-American, likening the blinding amount of bling to European royalty, the very thing the founding fathers of the United States sought to escape. And that's a cogent argument, no question about it, as we see from this picture showing the accents above. You know, it is a little much, I must admit, but it is making history. I'll get to that in a moment. Countless others have simply complained that the amount of gold looks flat out ugly. And yes, I can't argue with them too much on that. It is a bit much, but it does certainly add some bling. Now, Derek Guy, a Trump critic who's known online as the menswear guy, said that the detailing of a golden cherub, for example, appeared amateurish. And it does. It is hard to make out the details of the cherub. It's so shiny, and it does lack some crispness. And so, yeah, that is a little bit strange looking, I admit. And he said it's truly Temu level. Of course, Temu is mostly fake stuff. This is real gold. That's part of the history we're talking about. And this is something else. Even the carpet has been gilded. The edge of it are leaves of the color of gold. Of course, I don't know if that's actually real gold. And if it's not real gold, that means it's not gilded. It means it's just color gold. That's likely the case. Here is how much the Oval Office has changed since Trump returned to office. This is pretty amazing to see, including the most recent blingification in Biden's Oval Office. We're going to open this up. We can see it is more kind of traditional, as we can see here. Just kind of what it is and what it has been. Pretty simple, for sure. There, that's Biden's Oval Office. And the Oval Office of 2024 is hardly recognizable compared to the present day. Former President Joe Biden's office featured more muted traditional tones, including a rich dark blue rug and cream-colored furniture, as we can see here from this meeting with Trump after he was elected on November the 13th, 2024. Biden also displayed potted Swedish ivy in the office mantle, a presidential tradition that began with John F. Kennedy and remained a fixture of the Oval Office until Trump removed the plant early in his term. And then we can see the second administration. We can start to see some of the changes he's made. He wasted no time remaking the Oval Office. On Inauguration Day, he had reinstalled the famous Diet Coke button, hung a portrait of former President Andrew Jackson, and set up military flags representing each service branch. And then, in the second week, he had removed the potted Swedish ivy sitting on the mantle and replaced it with 9 gold trophies, the majority of which were made in Europe. The swap brought about most headlines like the country's most famous houseplant is missing from Mother Jones and the growing legend of the missing Oval Office ivy from the Washington Post. It was only the beginning. And then we enter Trump's gold guy, which is John Eckart, added custom-made gold finishes to the Oval Office starting in April. He installed a molding that wraps around the office that made the gilded carvings for the fireplace mantle, which is often the backdrop for the meetings and that for world leaders. The public's first look at the additions came during an Oval Office meeting between Trump and El Salvador President Nayib Bukele on April the 14th. Let's take a look at this image in closer detail, and we can see there they are and the other holdings. But that's only the beginning. We can see here what wasn't done here. We'll get to that here in a moment and see what he's done. Chaos was a hallmark of the opening months of Trump's first term, making it easy to look past the glowing changes to the Oval Office appearance. And a gold coaster reading Trump has sat at the coffee table of the Oval Office since March, and that is right here, a good, nice, high-resolution image of it. This says 45th on this side. The other side says 47th, and you can see that there. Pretty interesting. However, by April, the blinding amount of gold was impossible to miss after the president's gold guy, John Eckart, who did similar work for Trump at Mar-a-Lago, was flown to Washington from South Florida. And there you can see with Tim Cook all of the bling there in gold. By the way, that's real gold. Trump officials told the Wall Street Journal that Eckart added gold accents to the Oval Office's mantle, walls, and to the moldings that wrap around the office. He also delivered the golden cherubs that are now on display. And let's take a look at this, because this gives you an even more view, a really more closer view of what's going on here. We can see all of this bling here. It is really becoming a bit much. Even here, the eagle underneath this, I don't know if that was there before either, but that's pretty interesting. Trump told Fox News in March that the Oval Office needed a little life, so he opted for gold. He said the gold is symbolic of angels. They say angels bring good luck. Trump said of the renovation, and we need a lot of luck in this country with what they have done over the last 4 years. And if that's not enough, like the child Jesus in the manger, he has been brought gifts of literal gold by men from afar. The CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, and the president of soccer's world governing body, Gianni Infantino, and added them to the Oval Office. So there we go. We can see the World Cup, and likely that's gold-plated. Infantino, the president of FIFA, which governs soccer, had brought the 2025 World Cup Club Cup to the Oval Office, had been persuaded by Trump to leave it. The trophy, crafted in collaboration with Tiffany & Company, features a central disc with 3 rotating outer rings. It has 24-karat gold-plated finish and is thought to have the cost around $230,000 to make. Because it remains in the Oval, the body had to make a replica, which was what President Trump presented to English soccer team Chelsea in July when they won the competition. Then the most recent thing, and we're going to get a bigger view of this, this past Wednesday, it was the turn of Cook, one of the country's most powerful CEOs, to present tribute in the form of a cross between a statue and a trophy made of glass on, crucially, a 24-karat solid gold base, which he placed in the Resolute desk. "Congratulations, Mr. President," Cook said as he handed it over. Trump added it to his gold collection and said, "Thank you, it's fantastic." And that piece here, we're going to take a look, and there it is. And I saw this live in a conference in that press conference, and it was amazing to see this thing being placed. You could tell it had some weight to it as he placed it. Now this is not completely solid gold, but this it's put in there, and underneath of it is a black, probably felt base there from which it stands, but it is definitely a substantial amount of gold. So that means that we've got more gold in the White House than ever before. 24-karat gold, gilding, and solid objects. And I would love to know and to be able to assess how much gold is in the Oval Office alone, and we don't even know what the private quarters look like and other rooms. We just know about the Oval. That's the most public space. Now, where is gold at in other areas of the White House? I would love to know how many ounces of gold is inside the White House right now. Make no mistake, it has broken a record, and that is pretty intriguing. And it is symbolic to what Trump wants to do, and maybe sending a message to the central bankers around the world and our central bank, the Federal Reserve, as to what may be coming in the coming years. We're 201 or 2 days into this presidency, and he could shock and surprise us all with sending a message with gold and about gold. And that's another reason why I wanted to make this video. We're going to watch and see what happens. So I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.